You've done an incredible job dealing with the world's problems, but I suspect the one that, at least for the time being, is the most vexing one for you is Syria. So tell us, please, what's your approach, what's the US strategy for trying to deal with this tremendous brutality that we seem to be witnessing going on there from day to day?
Let me just make 3 quick points. First, we continue to support Kofi Annan's efforts, and we do so because he represents both the United Nations and the Arab League. It's quite unprecedented to have a joint special envoy who is speaking for 2 organizations that have seen their common interests in trying to bring an end to the violence and help to precipitate and then shepherd through a political transition. And the 6-point plan that former Secretary General Annan laid out is a good plan. Kofi Annan is now trying to put together a group of countries that would include Russia, that we agree should be included, to work on a roadmap for political transition. Russia has increasingly said that it was not defending Assad, but it worried about what came after Assad, and that it would work on political transition, but there are always a lot of caveats that they then interpose. So I met with Kofi Annan on Friday. So we have a timeline in mind to see whether or not this effort of Kofi's can be successful. The outer limit of that is mid-July, when the Security Council has to decide whether or not to extend the mission. And certainly if there is no discernible movement by then, it will be very difficult to extend a mission that is increasingly dangerous for the observers on the ground. And it's quite challenging to actually deliver on that. Now, there are lots of weapons on the black market. There's money that's available. There seems to be an increasing capacity in the opposition, both to defend themselves and to take the fight to the Syrian military in an irregular way. But there's no doubt that the onslaught continues, the use of heavy artillery and the like. We have confronted the Russians about stopping their continued arms shipments to Syria. They have, from time to time, said that we shouldn't worry, everything they're shipping is unrelated to their actions internally. That's patently untrue. And we are concerned about the latest information we have that there are attack helicopters on the way from Russia to Syria, which will escalate the conflict quite dramatically. There seems to be a massing of Syrian forces around Aleppo that we've gotten information about over the last 24, 48 hours. That could very well be a red line for the Turks in terms of their strategic and national interests. So we're watching this very carefully. Finally, I would say that part of the reason why this is complicated in the face of a clear rejection of what the Assad regime is doing is because there is such a fear among many elements of the Syrian society and in the region about what would come next. You haven't had a wholesale departure, support, or even into exile of a lot of major players in the Syrian society. We are approached on a regular basis by representatives of different groups within Syria who are terrified of what comes next. I don't know how else to say it.
Millions of despairing men, women, and children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, Do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish.